What up, Cucks? It's your boy, the Hater, once again. And it's been several weeks now. It's been basically a month since WrestleMania. And in my personal opinion, we can already feel the absence of Roman Reigns. Now, beyond the fact that Roman Reigns was the champion for like 5 years or whatever, right? Is the fact that Roman Reigns felt like a star. Notwithstanding my Drew McIntyre video from, I believe, yesterday, depending on when I upload this one, Cucks. Right? Notwithstanding that, maybe it was earlier today, who knows? Notwithstanding that, that video, Roman Reigns is the only other guy in this company that feels like a main eventer and feels like a real man, right? He feels like someone that takes himself seriously. You have to think about how many of the characters and wrestlers today are either too small to be believable or goofy-ass comedy characters. I will even throw Braun Strowman in a goofy-ass comedy character. It is not uncommon to go to WWE.com and just click around and find a picture of Braun Strowman dressed like an elf for Christmas or something like that, right? You have to ask yourself, why is it that some of these wrestlers are willing to dress like elves, but you're never going to see Randy Orton, you're never going to see like fucking Roman Reigns dressed like an elf, you're never going to see Roman Reigns dancing in the ring like fucking Finn Balor, right? You might see that from fucking, from Damian Priest or one of these other goofy-ass wrestlers, but you're not going to see it from the real ones, right? The same way that you can have Braun Strowman dressed like an elf, right? Maybe you can have Big Show dressed like an elf, but again, that was part of his character. The Big Show was always kind of a goof, like he'd come out as Shokishi, you know what I'm saying? But you would never see The Rock doing that. You might see like Mick Foley or some other, quasi-jobber, Triple H, Stone Cold, Undertaker, like forget about it. Imagine Undertaker being in a mixed tag team match with like Asuka as his partner in the mixed match challenge. You would never see that. It's just stupid. It goes against the ethos of The Undertaker. But you will see it with people like Braun Strowman. Likewise, you're not going to see it with people like Roman Reigns. If he is part of the Mixed Match Challenge, he's going to be like the serious guy in it, right? Now, with all that being said, right, beyond this, clearly there's one less star. Now, I know Roman Reigns wasn't around every SmackDown or anything like that, and that's perfectly fine because he's Roman Reigns, right? But the fact that he's gone, right, the fact that there's nothing next for him is the thing that we're feeling, right? We're feeling this absence of a giant star that could be gone theoretically forever. I mean, obviously I doubt it, but it could be gone for several months. When he comes back, the pop's going to be insane. Like, people are going to lose their minds. No one's going to boo him, right? Like, if they wait like 3 more months, motherfucks, like 3-4 months, even now, honestly, but let's just say, like, to be certain, if they wait 4 months and Cody Rhodes is cutting a promo in the ring and Roman Reigns comes to interrupt him, it doesn't matter. People are going to boo Cody and they're going to cheer Roman Reigns because at the end of the day, manufactured nonsense like, oh, this guy's been champion for so long, so I don't like him anymore. That shit goes out the window because star quality comes through, right? Same thing with The Rock. When The Rock comes back, right? They dropped the ball last time, in my opinion, but when The Rock comes back, nobody's going to give a shit about, Cody Rhodes, right? These are the facts. But with Roman Reigns gone, the bloodline is gone. Oh, but Tama Tonga's here. Tama Tonga can never cut a promo, and he doesn't have the presence to be in WWE. That's why he's 42 years old and finally made it here. And quite frankly, he only made it here because they're like, we need Samoans. There aren't any. So, okay, fine, fuck it. The Tongan guy it is. They're basically treated the same way in wrestling, Samoans and Tongans. So fuck it. Tama Tonga is now part of the bloodline, right? But when Roman Reigns comes back to take what's rightfully his, everyone's going to be excited, and that's when wrestling's going to get good again. If ever, motherfucks, you know what I'm saying? But until then, we have to settle for a bunch of mid-card jobber nobodies that are seldom there, and when they're there, they don't do anything, right? Cody Rhodes, since WrestleMania, has had one match, and it was a throwaway match. It was basically a glorified squash match because you never thought any capacity Carmelo Hayes is beating Cody Rhodes. And that's understandable. Of course, Cody Rhodes just became the champion. So I know that the first few matches, like the one against Carmelo or the upcoming one against AJ Styles, obviously he's going to win both of those, right? But that's precisely the reason why you need him to wrestle all the time, right? A lot of people don't understand this. It's one thing for Roman Reigns to wrestle once a month, right? Because Roman Reigns, both in reality and also in kayfabe, is untouchable, right? He has beaten everybody, right? So what would be the point of Roman Reigns wrestling again on a random SmackDown against LA Knight? He beat him already, right? Who's he going to wrestle? Jey Uso again? He beat his ass like 5 times, right? What's Roman Reigns? What is the purpose of Roman Reigns wrestling on Friday Night SmackDown, right? So he could go beat Nakamura in like a throwaway match that nobody cares about? No. But for Cody Rhodes, who is the new champion, he needs to establish this, right? Because the question, as soon as someone becomes champion, is who's going to be the next guy, right? And now we know it's not going to be Carmelo Hayes, obviously. We know it's not going to be AJ Styles, at least this time around, right? So Cody Rhodes needs to get in there and win the first 10 matches that he's going to inevitably win anyways, so that the other matches feel more meaningful. Imagine if Cody Rhodes had like 5 hard-fought matches, right? Each SmackDown from WrestleMania to Backlash, right? Imagine if that happened. Then, even though it's a small possibility, there is a chance that AJ Styles could beat him, right? And even so, even if there is no chance that Styles could beat him, if he continues to wrestle every week, there is a chance in 3 pay-per-views that he could lose the title, right? But if he wrestles every pay-per-view only, and maybe one throwaway match, then we can expect the reign to last 10 years, right? Because we know he's not going to lose it immediately in terms of matches, right? And in terms of timing. But things change quick in wrestling, and if you're not around on TV, in my opinion, you should be considered an afterthought, right? Unless you're not around on TV because you've earned it, either in reality, like people like Cena, The Rock, etc., or in kayfabe, like Roman Reigns, right? In kayfabe, Roman Reigns is above going to SmackDown because there is no challenge for him on SmackDown. You heard? But with that comes the other side of the equation. The fact that he's not around, quote unquote, suggests that now we need Roman Reigns more than ever, cuckolds. And without Roman Reigns, we find ourselves completely wrecked. It's really that simple. There is no main eventer, and the only thing that can hold us at bay, well, there's 2 possibilities. 1, you give the title to a real champion like Drew McIntyre, and you have him finally be like a fighting champion. I want to see someone defend the title on Raw every couple of weeks. And when they're not defending the title on Raw if they're the champion, I want to see them in a meaningless tag team match, right, that pushes forward the other guys in the tag team, right? You can have, let's say the next number 1 contender to fucking Damian Priest is Drew McIntyre. You can have Drew McIntyre and, I don't know, fucking Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther and Damian Priest, right? You can do that. You can push the other guys. You can start a feud between Dragunov and Gunther, and, you know, the other side can just be there to get a hand on each other, right? But it's important that champions stay present, right? And again, I emphasize, because people are going to be like, well, Roman Reigns isn't present. He is present. He is omnipresent because for the longest time, he was the only champion. So it doesn't fucking matter if people are watching him every Friday or every Monday, right? It's kind of like if you take UFC or boxing or any other sport, right? Like, not league sports, because league sports are different, but like sports where there's a champion that continues to be champion until he's defeated, right? Whereas like in the Super Bowl, for example, like the Kansas City Chiefs might not make it to the playoffs, and a team that they don't play might win the Super Bowl, and they're just not the champions anymore, right? But they didn't get beaten by the champion. So the idea is exactly that, right? If you look at, for example, in the UFC, a great example, right? We have John Jones, who is the heavyweight champ, and we have Tom Aspinall, who is like the interim champ, right? Like, it doesn't matter who Tom Aspinall fights next. Like, nobody gives a flying fuck. The idea is whoever he fights next is going to be the next guy for John Jones, right? The centerpiece of the story is still the champion, John Jones, right? Same thing with almost every other fight, right? We had Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway, and the idea was, well, what's next for the winner, right? Which title will the winner fight for next? That's what's next, cucks. They're going to go for a title. So, with all that being said, we find ourselves in a similar crossroads with Roman Reigns, right? The question is going to remain, what is next for big Roman Reigns? And the question will then become, when does Roman Reigns come back? Now, until then, if you're not going to put the title on Drew McIntyre and keep wrestling alive that way, then you really need to lean heavily on this bloodline business, right? I don't care about Tama Tonga and Solo Sikoa wrestling Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Obviously, the Samoans are going to win. I don't give a shit about this match, right? Randy Orton's return has been abysmal. I don't care about it. I care more about the storyline that's being pushed forward, right? That's not going to get pushed like Backlash, right? The only thing coming out of this match is Tama Tonga gets to go to France probably for the first time because he's been stuck in Japan for his whole career, right? That's the only thing that's coming out of this for anybody, right? But until that storyline gets resolved, maybe someone else debuts. I wouldn't be surprised if like Orton and the other guy and Kevin Owens are winning, and then fucking what's his name, Jacob Fatu, debuts and wins, right? Even that would be tolerable because you could have that's pushing the narrative forward. So Roman Reigns can come back and pretty much destroy all these fat jobbers, right? Except for Tama Tonga, who's not fat but is a jobber, right? Like think about it. If Tama Tonga, like if there was no like bloodline, Tama Tonga would go there and he'd be like jobbing to like Ashanti the Adonis or some other jobber. So anyways, I digress, cucks, but that's the video. So go fuck yourselves.